Sure, here's the rewritten version of your script with a natural, flowing tone, without any section headings or obvious breaks. There are moments when you wish you'd just stayed silent. One careless remark, a knee-jerk reaction, and the fallout isn't just awkwardness. Sometimes it costs you trust, relationships, even opportunities. In today's world, where everyone's racing to be heard, intentional silence is a rare kind of power. But knowing when to hold your tongue and when to make your words count takes more than willpower. It takes self-mastery. That's why Stoic philosophy has endured for thousands of years. It's not an escape route for the weak. It's a compass for those who want to stay grounded in chaos, live with discipline, strength, and depth. Stoicism teaches you to manage your emotions, focus on what you can control, and most importantly, to know when to speak and when to stay quiet. If you've ever felt like your words betrayed you, this message is for you. Have you ever been in a conversation where the other person cuts you off with a quick, "Yeah, I know that already," or you share something that matters to you, and they respond with a distracted chuckle before steering the spotlight back to themselves? In the world we live in, speaking seems far easier than listening. Social media alone is a stage where millions are shouting, "Listen to me," but few are willing to truly be silent and hear someone else. In Stoicism, listening isn't passive. It's an act of strength. It shows a mind that can resist the urge to perform, to always have something to say. Like a seasoned swordsman, the Stoic doesn't swing wildly. They wait, they watch, and they move only when it counts. The wise don't speak just to fill silence. They use silence to understand more deeply. There's a rideshare driver named Dave in Manhattan, quiet, not big on small talk. One day, a woman stepped into his car. She looked exhausted, eyes red. For the next 40 minutes, Dave said nothing but "good morning." He gently placed a water bottle in the cup holder, turned off the radio, and checked the rearview mirror occasionally, just making sure she was okay. When they arrived, she left behind a folded note. "I just lost my father. Thank you for letting me sit in silence. This ride was the kindest thing I've experienced all week." Dave didn't say a word, but he said exactly what needed to be said. "I'm here. I understand." Listening isn't just being quiet while someone talks. It's an active choice. It's asking a thoughtful follow-up. "Do you mean?" Or simply letting someone's silence asterisk be asterisk instead of rushing to fill it with noise. Good listeners don't jump in with advice. They don't pretend to understand. They ask. They wait. In meetings, they're the quietest in the room, but they often have the clearest understanding of what's going on. In relationships, they're the ones everyone turns to when things get real. Great salespeople ask better questions. Great doctors don't just diagnose. They hear the fear behind the symptoms. And great friends? They're not the ones who have all the answers. They're the ones who sit beside you and make you feel less alone. Want to train this? Try counting how many questions you ask versus how many opinions you give in each conversation this week. If you're asking twice as often as you're speaking, you're on the right path. Let the other person talk 70% of the time. You'll quickly realize most people don't need to be fixed. They need to feel understood. And here's the catch. The better you get at listening, the less you'll feel the need to talk. Once you understand the full picture, you stop fighting over the small parts. The most influential people rarely speak often. But when they do, it asterisk matters asterisk. In fact, while you're truly listening to someone else, you start noticing yourself. The impatience. The urge to interrupt. That mental script saying, "Let me tell you asterisk my asterisk story." Becoming aware of that, that's growth. You're no longer trying to win the conversation. You're trying to connect. Epictetus said, Nature gave us one tongue and two ears so that we could hear twice as much as we speak. Nature doesn't make mistakes. That ratio, it's a lesson. The question is, are you living in reverse? Because often, the thing that causes us to say the wrong thing isn't ignorance, it's emotion. Emotions rise fast. So what if emotion is the silent manipulator in every conversation you've ever had? Words aren't harmless. They're like arrows. Once released, you can't take them back. And the saddest part, most arrows are fired not by reason, but by emotion. We get angry, scared, hurt, and we speak. Sometimes just a few seconds of lost control can destroy something we spent years building. That's why managing your emotions before you speak isn't a luxury. It's survival. Stoicism doesn't ask you to stay silent forever. It asks you to stay conscious before you speak. It reminds us, real freedom isn't saying whatever you want. It's having the strength to hold back when you should. You ever been so angry you wanted to yell, only to regret every word a few minutes later? Or maybe you let a secret slip just to prove a point and lost someone's trust forever. These moments happen every day. At work, at home, even anonymously on the internet. John, a manager at a tech company in Chicago, was known for his calm. But one day, in a tense meeting, his boss harshly criticized him in front of everyone. John snapped. He raised his voice, accused his boss of being unfair, said the team didn't respect him. He wasn't wrong, but the way he reacted cost him his role. That afternoon, he was quietly removed as manager. If he had taken just 3 seconds to breathe, things might have turned out differently. A single breath can be the wall between a wise response and a reckless reaction. Modern neuroscience proves what the Stoics already knew. When emotions run high, your brain is hijacked. The amygdala takes over, and the rational part, your prefrontal cortex, goes offline. Meaning, in that heated moment, you're not actually you. You're just your anger with a voice. Are you okay with letting your worst emotions speak for you? But emotional control doesn't mean suppression. It's about transformation. One of the most powerful things you can do is name your emotion. Not I'm mad. Try I feel disrespected, or I feel powerless. It activates your rational brain, gives you space to step back. Here's another technique. Write down what you want to say. Don't send it, just write it by hand. It forces your brain into structured thought, and within minutes, you'll often realize those words don't need to be said. Abraham Lincoln used to do this. He'd write angry letters, then lock them in a drawer. They were never meant to be sent, just to give him clarity. Choose a small anchor, a deep breath, touching your wrist, exhaling slowly. Tiny actions, big impact. A signal to your brain. Pause, take control. It's not about silencing yourself. It's about knowing what to say, when to say it, and how. Because sometimes your greatest power lies in what you choose not to say. Ever said something you regret because you let emotion take the wheel? Share it, not out of shame, but so we can all learn together. Because mastering your emotions isn't just about better communication. It's how you master yourself. There's a dangerous little habit we all fall into, saying whatever pops into our head. We call it being honest, keeping it real. But often, it's not honesty, it's a lack of discipline. People with depth aren't those who think less. They're the ones who know how to think enough, and then say just enough. Maybe you've seen it. A friend talks about changing jobs, and someone interrupts with, to be honest, that's a dumb move right now. Suddenly, what started as sharing turns into judgment. The vibe changes. The person shuts down. A valid point shared at the wrong time, in the wrong way, becomes completely wrong. Stoics stay silent not because they have nothing to say, but because they know every word has a cost. Sometimes that cost is your energy. Sometimes it's your privacy. Sometimes it's your relationships. The more you grow, the less you want to speak, not because you're empty, but because you're done cleaning up the mess of careless words. Epictetus once said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Wisdom isn't proving you're right. It's having the strength to stay quiet, to be misunderstood, and still remain calm in your own skin. There's a story about Thomas, a sharp guy working in finance. In one meeting, his boss introduced a poorly thought-out idea. Thomas, irritated, cut in with blunt criticism. He wasn't wrong, just too fast, too harsh. A few weeks later, he was quietly removed from a major project. Not because he lacked ability, but because he was right at the wrong time. From then on, Thomas changed. He started writing his thoughts before meetings, reviewing them later, asking, "Am I saying this to help, or just to prove I'm smart?" If it was the latter, he stayed quiet. And ironically, the less he spoke, the more people paid attention when he did. You can start the same way. Next time you want to speak, pause. Imagine your words cost money. You'd probably say less and mean more. Give yourself just 3 seconds between thought and speech. Ask, is this necessary? This moment, this person, do they need to hear this right now? Every time you speak a plan, an idea, or even a personal emotion, you pressure yourself to defend it. But keep just a little to yourself, and you gain freedom. Freedom to pivot, to change, to grow, without shame. Not everyone needs to know what you're thinking, and you don't need to speak to prove you exist. The right silence is invisible armor. It protects you from misunderstandings, emotional storms, and battles not worth fighting. Ask yourself, are you speaking to connect, or just afraid of being forgotten? Choose your words, choose your moment, choose your audience. That's not just smart communication. That's how you protect what matters most. And in a world obsessed with telling everyone your next big move, maybe the most powerful thing you can do is wait. Let me know if you want me to keep going with the rest of it, or turn this into a voiceover-ready script, or something else. I'm going to open this unique coffee shop. Artsy vibes, books, community-driven. The brand sounds inspiring and right. But 6 months later, you come back to the same cafe. No new shop. The person is still at the same table, sipping the same drink, telling a different story that sounds exactly like the last one. It's not that they're lazy or insincere. They've just fallen into a subtle mental trap, the illusion of progress. Our brains struggle to distinguish between talking about doing something and actually doing it. When you share your plans, you get immediate rewards. Admiration, encouragement, nods of approval. It feels like you've already made it halfway, but in reality, you haven't even started. Marcus Aurelius never bragged about living simply. He just lived simply. He didn't preach discipline, he embodied it. That's what made him different. Think about it. If you were a tree, would you rather use your energy to grow real leaves, or just shake your branches so people think you're growing? Let me tell you a story. Jake, 34, was a software developer. He hated his corporate job and always talked about quitting to build his own app. He had plenty of ideas, gave killer presentations, sketched out detailed plans, told his friends, even built a timeline. Everyone was impressed. But month after month, not a single line of code was written. One day, a friend said bluntly, "Jake, you're addicted to talking about success, not building it." That hit hard. The next day, Jake deleted his old posts, stopped sharing, and wrote his first line of code. 3 months of silence, 6 months of no updates. Then one day, his app went live. No announcement, just action. No noise, just results. Jake's story forces us to ask, are we doing the work or just talking about it? If you see yourself in that story, that's not failure, it's awakening. Realizing that keeping your plans quiet is how you protect the energy to actually make them real. Look at Thomas Sankara, the revolutionary from Burkina Faso. He didn't give speeches about living simply. He sold the government's luxury cars, cut his own salary in half, and grew vegetables in the presidential garden. When you stop performing, people start noticing. You stop announcing, your results speak for themselves. Silence is a form of power. To actually live this out, try one thing. Stop sharing your plans for 30 days. No posts, no humble brags. Every time you feel the urge to talk about what you're going to do, pause and write down one concrete action instead. Not because you don't deserve recognition, but because you deserve a real result, not just a round of applause. Pause here. You've already come halfway. And if you're still reading, it means you're not just interested in philosophy, you're ready to live it. The path to mastering your words is bold. It takes persistence and awareness. But the next chapters will give you real strategies, practical, not preachy, to turn Stoicism into a way of life. There's a kind of spiritual suicide many people commit daily without realizing it. Talking too much, and to the wrong people. You might think you're connecting, but in reality, you're digging a hole. Every personal disclosure is another shovel of dirt, until one day someone who's not you uses what you said to bury you. Sounds heavy? Then let me ask you, of all the people you've confided in, how many truly kept quiet out of respect, not just because they haven't had a chance to use it? Stoicism teaches us to control our words. But that doesn't just mean speaking less. It means choosing the right people to speak to. You don't have to shut yourself off, but you do have to be selective. The longer you live, the clearer it becomes. Not everyone deserves access to your system's internal files. Have you ever sat on a bus, met a stranger, and suddenly found yourself sharing family issues, relationship struggles, or work stress? That feeling of they won't judge because they're not involved makes us open up. But because they're not involved, they have no loyalty to what you said. In a society that runs on information, naivety is one of the easiest things to exploit. I once knew a guy named Mark, a personal trainer just starting out. He confided in someone he thought was a close friend, shared marketing ideas, financial troubles, unpaid debts. The guy nodded, listened, encouraged, and later opened a gym right next door, targeting Mark's exact clientele. Offhand remarks like, "I'm not sure I can keep this going another month," ended up spooking potential investors. Not because Mark was weak, but because he revealed his weak spots too soon to the wrong person. This doesn't just happen to Mark. It happens at work, when you vent to a coworker and notice your boss acting differently. It happens in families when a confession becomes a tool for manipulation. It happens online where people pour out their hearts, believing saying it helps. But feeling lighter isn't always the same as being smart. Being too open always carries a cost. So what do we do? Not go completely silent, but train ourselves to filter. Before you speak, ask, will sharing this make me stronger or hand someone else power over me? If you're not sure, keep it in. Everything you say is stored somewhere, in someone's memory, in conversations you won't be part of, or worse, in a plan that's working against you. Try a simple but powerful rule, the 3-time appearance principle. Someone should show up in your life at least 3 times, in joy, in pain, and in silence, before you share anything below the surface. Everyone's kind when things are good. But someone who stays quiet when there's nothing left to gain, that's who you trust. CEOs don't guard new product secrets because they don't trust their teams. They guard them because leaks happen. And the worst leaks come from mouths with no long-term loyalty. Your life is also a work-in-progress product. Don't let someone evaluate the prototype and decide your worth. Silence can be your last line of defense. Your true confidant, if you have one, won't need you to say much. They'll see you clearly, even through your silence. The Bible says, "Do not cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet and turn and tear you in pieces." It's not that you don't have something valuable. It's that not everyone is capable of honoring what you give. So ask yourself, who are you sharing your truth with? And are you sure they'll protect it, or are they just waiting for a chance to use it? One day, you'll realize the person who knows the most about you might not understand you at all. And the one who truly understands you might not need to know every detail. That's when you'll understand. Silence isn't the absence of words. It's the presence of wisdom. Silence isn't glamorous or easy, but it's powerful. Because staying silent when you have every reason to speak up takes 10 times more courage than winning any argument. In an era where everyone has a microphone, social media, podcasts, live streams, who dares to stay quiet? If that person is you, maybe you're not reacting to the world. You're owning your place in it. Have you ever had someone say something wrong about you in front of a crowd? Your gut twists, your mouth wants to fire back. But if you've ever held it in, just looked, stayed silent, nodded, and walked away, you know it doesn't feel good. But it hits different. That moment says to the world, I don't need to prove anything. And in that pause, you're not just controlling your words. You're controlling yourself. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Don't mimic. Don't retaliate. Don't fall into the trap of reaction. You don't need to speak to strike back. You just need to avoid becoming the reflection of what you despise. Some people say the smartest things, yet nothing sticks. Others quietly do the work, say nothing, and we remember them forever. Because words are sound waves. Actions are gravity. Sound fades. Gravity doesn't need to be seen. It pulls anyway. The fear of being misunderstood keeps most people from embracing silence. We worry people will think we're weak, wrong, clueless. But silence creates a strange kind of power. It forces others to guess. And in that uncertainty, you gain influence. Try a day of silence. No arguing. No proving. No vague story posts aimed at someone. Just observe. Track every time you wanted to speak but didn't. Then ask yourself, if I had said something, would it have really made things better? Maybe you're not the most eloquent speaker. That's fine. You can still make your words matter by saying less. By speaking only when it counts. Don't let your voice become cheap because you gave it away too often. Silence is power, but only if you're strong enough to hold it. If you've ever held back from saying something and realized it made you stronger, that was a mark of strength in silence. The moment you stopped reacting like you used to. Most of us crave recognition. The quickest way to satisfy that urge is to talk about what we plan to do. But the more we talk about something before it happens, the more likely we are to lose it. Not because someone sabotages us, but because speaking too much erodes the drive to act. Every word costs energy. Every time you share a plan, justify a decision, or try to prove your worth, you're giving away something that should have been reserved for action. The Stoic mindset gets this. Act first, speak later. Not because you have nothing to say, but because real credibility doesn't come from convincing others. It comes from letting results speak for themselves. Think back to the last time you told someone you were going to learn a language, start working out, write a book, or launch a project. What happened? The initial excitement faded. Just by saying it, you got a hit of that achievement feeling without doing the work. Purposeful silence is a strategy. Like planting a seed, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust the process. The most meaningful things need protection from rushed judgment and impatient eyes. Staying silent also trains your inner discipline. Not everyone can do it. It's easy to show you're trying. Much harder to move forward quietly without needing validation. But that's what sets you apart. Silence demands belief in your own process. That you don't need to be seen or applauded. You just need to know what you're doing and keep doing it. And when the results come, you won't need to say a word. They'll speak for you. That's more than recognition. It's trust. Not because you promised, but because you delivered. No hype. No spotlight. Just truth with weight. Next time you're tempted to share a plan, pause. Ask what would happen if I kept this to myself. Am I ready to let the result be the only thing that speaks? If the answer is yes, you're already on the right path. Because the one who controls their words is the one who's truly in control. And that's where all real value begins. You've just walked through 7 powerful lessons on mastering your words, inspired by Stoic wisdom. From listening more and managing emotion to letting actions do the talking, these aren't just ideas, they're tools. To live with clarity, resilience, and real impact. Quiet strength is a force. Because the more we grow, the less we need to talk. Our actions begin to speak for us. Words can build or destroy. But when you learn to control them, you're not just mastering speech. You're mastering yourself. That's the gift Stoicism gives you. Inner freedom, calm in the chaos, and an unshakable focus on the path you choose.